Anthropology time.
Cultural perspectives.
This video will be narrated by
Sophia Daniels.
Dustin Post.
Nabila Ahmad.
In this video, we will use course material to present our knowledge of how culture plays out in our daily lives.
Clifford Geertz once said, "Culture is a web of significance that man himself has spun."
So this is Bob. Bob wears his cultural lenses. They are constructed by the culture he grew up in. They allow him to see the world in a unique way.
The following questions will be discussed in this video. We'll see how Geertz's quote plays into the context of Preschool in Three Cultures and the film A Dream in Hanoi, as well as the two supplementary readings using cultural skills for cooperative advantage in Japan and Chinese table manners. From the moment you're born, you begin to be enculturated by the people in your life. Culture is learned, and all cultural habits and values serve a practical purpose within the culture. For this video, we will compare and contrast the following countries as they are related to our text: Japan, America, and China, and a small reference to Vietnam as it relates to the film A Dream in Hanoi. Teacher and student interactions differ because they are part of implicit cultural practices. In the US, teachers use hugs and kisses, but in Japan, intimacy is teachers caring for the children's physical needs, such as helping them to do their hair. Also, the Japanese are comfortable with their bodies, so nobody has to worry about keeping their hands to themselves. This continues in the adult world in the concept of personal space. In China, the history of boarding schools and the discipline that stems from undoing the spoiling from the one-child policy has resulted in children viewing their teachers as parents. A sign in a Chinese classroom said, "My teachers are like my mother." Chinese parents utilize preschools as a commodity. They are essentially customers. The concept of privacy in Preschool in Three Cultures contrasts how the children use the restroom. In Japan, where the discussion and acceptance of the body is normal, older boys taught younger boys how to use the restroom. This form of mentoring strengthened relationships that resemble the patrilineal makeup of Japanese businesses, where trust and strong bond are of the utmost importance. In the past, Chinese children all used the bathroom at the same time, both boys and girls, which Americans saw as controlling. As modernization crept into China, the toilets have been changed. There is the worry amongst some that the loss of a shared bond, which occurs through using the restroom altogether, will be lost and weaken the overall strength of the Chinese people. Conflict resolution techniques vary greatly within China. The attitude is that children need to accept that there has been a conflict, forget about it, and move on. In the book, a teacher says to a young boy who doesn't want to play with his peer, "After you forget about it, things will be all right. If you haven't yet forgotten, just wait a little while." In Japan, teachers do not intervene with children's fights. They encourage sensitivity through observation, but if children escalate to the point of physical fights, they let them work it out. And that if there were no fights, then there would be a problem. Within the United States, however, using your words is the only acceptable way of working out conflicts. Children have to explain how interactions made them feel. This skill of being able to communicate effectively with language is highly valued within American society, so teachers encourage the children to elaborate by instructing them to use their words.
American and Japanese children had similarities in their lunches in that they were served school food from a cafeteria. Talking and socialization during lunchtime are encouraged to foster social development. However, in Chinese preschools, lunches were served by the teachers to the children and the room was silent, which stems from the cultural belief that to be respecting the food, one must have their complete attention focused on the food. This draws parallels to the symbolic habits that Chinese table manners represent. From the table setting to how much of what food to eat and when are all the symbolic cultural practices in eating ritual is not followed. One could be construed as an incompetent foreign devil that would send the wrong social cues to the people one was eating with.
In A Dream in Hanoi, there were cultural clashes between the concerns of the American and Vietnamese theater companies. These clashes were similar to the concerns between Japanese and American businessmen in the article about cooperation in international business. The lack of cultural understanding in situations causes the two cultures to not want to work with each other. There are misconceptions, such as someone not being trustworthy because they work from home, or that Americans are fierce and threatening. The disparities in the cultural understanding in both a dream in Hanoi and using cultural skills for cooperative advantage in Japan. But in the end, it all comes down to who is willing to work to overcome cultural differences for the betterment of the project or situation.
So what can we take away from this? It's important to remember the following. Culture is learned, culture is shared, culture is an adaptation, and culture is dynamic. Culture is a uniquely human thing, and people from all walks of life experience their life through their own perception of reality, which is shaped by their peers, family, and mentors. More importantly, we must remember the following when trying to understand the world around us. At the end of the day, you must be able to distinguish winks from twitches, and at certain times be able to take the lenses you see the world from and bring them down just a little, enough to see over them and better understand the cultures of others.